Hi everyone, welcome to Q&A Tuesday for the Eat More to Weigh Less program. Today we have two questions. First up is a question from Deborah who says, I seem to be shrinking but my weight isn't really moving much. Does muscle weigh more than fat? Well, first of all, it's great that you're shrinking, and I'm assuming it's your girth that's shrinking and not your height. But the answer is both yes and no. Obviously, a kilogram of fat weighs the same as a kilogram of muscle. But when we think about how much space each one of those kilograms takes up in your body, that's where the difference lies. So a kilogram of fat is kind of more fluffy and more expansive and therefore takes up more space inside your body than a kilogram of muscle. So a kilogram of muscle is more dense and more compact, so it takes up less space in your body. So this is why you may notice that you're dropping centimetres, you may even be dropping clothing sizes, whereas the scale might be staying exactly the same. And that's a really good reason that I don't recommend using the scale as your only measure of progress. In the updated mindset lesson for Module 1, the Dreams and Goals, I go through a variety of ways that you could be using to set goals and to measure your progress. And I talk about things like your body mass index, your BMI, waist to hip ratios, waist to height ratios, your body fat percentage, and your clothing size. So weight by itself doesn't really mean much at all. Fat loss is a far more important variable, and there are other ways to measure that. But also, I'd like to encourage you to focus on how you feel. Do you feel more healthy, more energetic? Is your skin clearer? Are you more regular? Okay, so that's the answer I have to the first question. And the next question is from Pat, who says that although she's not diabetic, she experiences symptoms of hypoglycemia, like getting sweaty, hungry and irritable, if she doesn't eat between meals, as I suggest, because I recommend that people eat 3 meals a day and don't snack in between. Now, most people believe that they need to eat frequently to avoid hypoglycemia, but eating small, frequent meals has never been proven to accelerate weight loss, despite what many diets claim. And in fact, there are many more studies that suggest that less frequent eating promotes more rapid weight reduction. And also, most people who claim they are hypoglycemic and attribute feeling uncomfortable if they skip meals really don't experience true hypoglycemia. Many of the people I've worked with have actually discovered that their blood sugar is really up when they experience those kind of out of balance feelings, and they really have been misled into believing that those symptoms are symptoms of low blood sugar. Also, many people do experience what's known as reactive hypoglycemia, where their blood sugar plummets after being high, which is then triggering too much insulin secretion, and then goes too low because of the overclearance of sugar from the blood due to the high levels of insulin. It's actually best to space your meals about 5 to 6 hours apart. And that's true even if you are diabetic. The first 3 hours after you eat, your body produces the hormone called insulin, and insulin's job is to clear the sugar from your blood and pass it on to your muscles and your liver so that they can do their job. And about an hour after eating, if your insulin level and blood sugar levels are starting to come down, as they should, then growth hormone is released. And growth hormone in the early post-meal stages triggers the buildup of muscle protein, which is enhanced by the presence of insulin. So when insulin is activated and when your body is functioning normally, your liver and muscles take on as much glycogen as is possible. But about 3 hours after you eat a meal, your insulin level should be back down to where it was before your meal. And that's when your liver begins to kick into high gear and it mobilizes that glycogen into blood sugar. And at that point, you begin to burn the fats that are in your blood for energy. And so that puts to use the good fats that would otherwise go into storage as unwanted fat. Now, more than 4 hours after eating, your growth hormone begins to mobilize fat for fuel. But this use of fat for fuel only happens when insulin levels are very low. While insulin is active in your bloodstream, fat burning is just not possible. The period in between meals should really be an opportunity for your liver to kind of exercise and clear out the glycogen. And if you snack between meals, or if you eat a meal too soon after the previous one, your liver's exercise routine is blocked, and that kind of sets you up for obesity and insulin resistance and diabetes. When your liver doesn't get enough exercise, it can also synthesize excessive cholesterol, which can lead to elevated blood lipids, even if the food you eat contains no cholesterol. And this can be a major cause of elevated cholesterol in vegans. Another factor, if your muscles are well toned, they will use up fat between meals much faster than untrained muscles. And this is one reason that exercise is so important for health and weight loss. It's not just the calories it burns. In fact, muscle tone can provide you with the energy that you need to keep going in between meals. But when you eat too soon after a previous meal, your insulin levels rise too soon, and that turns off your liver's exercise routine, it inhibits fat burning, and it causes any calories that you've consumed to be stored rather than burned. Plus your energy will plummet and you may suffer from food cravings a lot more. If you consistently eat meals too close together, you'll also might cause your pancreas to fatigue and your insulin receptors to become resistant, and that will mean that you'll struggle with your weight. So, what to do if you're hungry between meals? First of all, feeling weak or hungry sooner than 5 to 6 hours after eating a meal can be due to things like not eating enough at the previous meal, eating simple or I guess more or rather processed carbohydrates at the previous meal. It could also be impaired digestion and absorption. It could be being out of shape and not being fit, having poorly toned muscles. It could mean weak adrenals, a sluggish and congested liver. It could be because you're just tired and exhausted. It could be because you have diabetes or insulin resistance or even leptin resistance. And all of these issues are addressed in this program. So stick with it. Follow your lessons carefully and you will get there in the end. Some of the issues can take a lot longer than 12 weeks to actually fully resolve, but then they probably took years to create, so you really need to be a bit patient. And the truth is that the ideal meal space and gap really does, scientifically, it appears to be 5 to 6 hours between meals, with a 12-hour period between your evening meal and your morning breakfast. And the recommendation of eating 6 small meals per day to kind of keep the furnace burning hot is just diet dogma and makes no sense physiologically or biochemically. The 6 meal per day diet is kind of a faddish dieting trend with very little research in support of it. Also, the 3 meals per day eating pattern becomes more critical for keeping a low body fat percentage as you age and your metabolism slows down. So, if you think you can't space your meals out because you have hypoglycemia, I'd encourage you to think again. And first of all, I recommend, if this is truly a concern for you, that you get yourself a blood glucose meter and actually check your blood sugar between meals and find out the truth for yourself. Second, eat enough at your 3 meals. Most people who get hungry between meals don't eat sufficient calories at their meals. So really fill yourself up on fruit, vegetables, potatoes, rice, beans, all of the foods that we are learning about. When hunger does come on too soon, you could try staving it off with water flavored with essential oils, or water flavored with lemon juice, or even just using herbal teas. And I guess the bottom line though is that while your body gets used to this way of eating, you may actually need to make friends with hunger in between meals, because hunger in between meals indicates that your body is in fat burning mode. And if you can learn to tolerate a little hunger and gradually kind of increase the space between your meals, you will be rewarded by weight reduction and hormone balance and improved blood lipids. So that is my A to your Q. Thank you for asking these great questions. Please keep them coming. And until next time, keep up the good work and take care.